What's going on, guys? K-Pen here and welcome back. And in this video, I'll be featuring Shadow Malamar in the GreatLeague. I genuinely don't have enough good things to say about this Pokemon. It's a menace, plain and simple. Its moveset, to fast move pressure, to charge move span, to damage output, none of it's bad. I did go on a 12-3 run in leaderboard ELO with this team, where I'll be featuring a 5-0 and 4-1 set during that run. But outside of that run, this team has been extremely consistent, even so much so that I'm currently in the 3400s with it. And with that, let's get right into the battles. All right, getting into the first battle, we lead Shadow Malamar into Shadow Alolan Marowak. A little bit of a tricky lead here, but there is one kind of specific way to play out this lead. You want to overfarm, and I like to fire off a foul play right away. If this lands, and that's perfectly fine, like you'll do a lot of foul play damage and then get sideway, force them to throw. And if it lands, I just like to let it go and then farm down with the Shadow Gator. But if your opponent shields it, I like to shield and return and then go for the superpower right before their next Bone Club, because that superpower will just about KO that K-Whack. So your opponent's basically forced to double shield or give you switch there, which then I like to hard pivot, tank their move, and then if they stay in, I'll fire off my Hydro before their third Bone Club. But if they do swap out like they do here, their K-Whack is now out of shield. So if it gets onto our ASOS later, it's no problem because we will have that energy to get to an Ice Punch to take out that K-Whack. As you'll see here, we do let our Gator go down, come in with our K-Whack and start getting up on energy. I always want to make sure I'm over farming here just in case my opponent does eventually swap into their K-Whack or they try and like snipe of some sort. I do have the extra energy to deal with it. Just so like, I can fire off the Ice Punch right away and not worry about that Mud Slap damage. In comes the Dugong, and this should be a pretty straightforward match from here. I do have to give up a shield to respect the Joe run. They are most likely baiting with the Icy Wind, which they do. But if they are baiting, I can just swap into that Malamar, make that superpower. This will do massive damage to the Dugong. Goodbye, Dugong. In comes that K-Whack. I do have a lot of energy on my Alolan Sandslash, which we're able to reach the Ice Punch, take out the K-Whack, and then outpace this Toxapex to the Drill Run, which will be enough to take it out. So see, in comes the Drill Run, lands on the Toxapex, and down it goes. GG's. Next battle, we lead Shadow Malamar into Wigglytuff. Atrocious lead. We're going to swap right away into our Shadow Gator. They meet it with a Fortress, and bad goes to even worse. Fortunately, even though this is a bad matchup for the Gator, my opponent's able to keep switch. I will be able to force a shield from them since I will reach 2 Hydro Cannons. And so I'm just going to leverage that. I'm going to take my shield advantage that I have, land a Hydro Cannon of my own, and jump around with energy, play with it, and see what we can do here. Hydro does land. And instead of coming in Shadow Malamar, I am going to come in with the Alolan Sandslash there and get up a lot of energy. Knowing that an energy lead on, seeing that they have the Wigglytuff lead, knowing that an energy lead on my Alolan Sandslash is going to go very far. Fortunately, we do make the correct shield call in the Earthquake. Now we're going to load up, fire off the Earthquake on the CMP tie to the Fortress, does take him out, and they have a Claydol in the back. So realistically, hard counter on the lead, hard counter in the swap, hard counter in the back, but we're going to see what we can do with the jumping around and playing with energy here. Loading up on a lot of energy, we do make this superpower, which can be very nice damage into the Wigglytuff. It does land. Don't quite reach the second superpower, which is a little unfortunate. Get farmed down right before it, but that's okay. So we can let our A-Slash, bring our A-Slash in, let this move go, and just powder snow them down. We want to leave with a ton of energy here, knowing that being out of the Mud Slapper range that I am, these Ice Punches will chunk as that first one does land, and we do survive that next Mud Slap. Absolutely huge. We reach the second Ice Punch on 1 HP, and what seemed like an absolutely lost match there, able to jump around a bit and take that one. GG's. Next battle, Malamar into Jumpluff. Not the best lead for us, but not the worst either, because we are a shadow here, these Psy Waves plus foul plays definitely do add up to that Jumpluff. Now, this is a non-shadow Jumpluff, and those Psy Waves plus the foul play plus 1 Shadow Claw from the regular Gator puts it in the yellow. So that's some pretty respectable damage there from the Shadow Malamar, especially on a Pokemon like a non-shadow Jumpluff. We do go for the Hydro Cannon. I was hoping to land on the CMP tie there. We don't quite fall them into that CMP tie trap, which is a little unfortunate, but that's okay. In comes Lapras. We get a little bit of a parting Hydro Cannon gift for it, and now I'm going to come back in Malamar. We're not in Sparkling Aria range, and they can never farm us down from here, so I'm very comfortable letting one go. As you'll see, we're in the red and just over farming a ton. I go for the superpower. I don't think this is quite foul play range yet to take out the Lapras, so I do go for the superpower to confirm the KO, and I'm expecting them to come and jump, so I'm going to instantly swap into that A slash because I don't want them to farm me down, especially if I can get a little bit of an energy head start. But they come in with a Shadow Swampert, and it's a very good thing I swapped into that A slash because I'm now up a Powder Snow, and I'm able to outpace to these Ice Punches before my opponent is able to outpace their Hydro Cannons. I actually overfarmed and played to the CMP tie on purpose. I didn't want to throw earlier in case they would try and go for a potential catch, knowing that, hey, if they're at the move, they're going to fire it off. But now, so that guarantees basically they're not going to catch on that move, but now I do need to watch for the catch. I get to the move, I pause, they go for the swap, they catch it, they don't catch it, and I'm not quite able to get the farm down. I'm like, oh shoot, they just got the acrobatics. But look at Shadow Malamar do it. Shadow Malamar things, it farms down the Fairy Wind user, leaves with the move, and gets the superpower to take out the Swampert, and that's just a prime showing right there of what Shadow Malamar can do. GG's to my opponent. Shadow Malamar into Shadow Grumpig. Fantastic lead for us, as we'll triple resist those side waves. They save swap into GreatLeague, and this is not a Shadow Malamar answer, especially since we have an Alolan Sandslash in the back. This is a free superpower and dip. If they let it go, fantastic. We still swap into our Alolan Sandslash, showing how dominant of a matchup we have there in the lead, and we just Powder Snow down. They shield it like you saw here, and now you'll just play it out like you see me doing in this situation. We do survive 1 Rock Tomb, and we do survive the 2nd Rock Tomb. So now not only do we leave with shield advantage, but we also leave with switch advantage. Here, I go for the Ice Punch, hoping I can survive that Psy Wave to make 2 Ice Punches, but I don't. So that's a little bit of a misplay. I should have just gone for the Joe run there. But with that switch advantage and shield advantage, a little bit of an insurmountable outcome there for my opponent, so they can see GG's. Next battle, Shadow Malamar into regular Malamar. Now this one, you can play it out how you decide yourself. In the regular versus Shadow, if your opponent has a very high stat product, regular Malamar, they will actually survive the 2 foul plays, and I throw this one right away just so I can kind of test whether I know I can go for 2 foul plays or I have to go for a foul play and superpower. Like if I throw that right away and I see that they're still in the green, then I'll need to go for the 2nd superpower, which my opponent lets go, and down goes their Malamar. So I bank all that energy, store a move, and now I pivot. So realistically, like, the upside of going for that foul play right away, like you saw there, is you get to gauge it. And if your opponent sees, hey, I can survive that, I can survive another foul play and get off a 2nd move of my own, you kind of catch them by surprise by going for that superpower to guarantee the KO. But the downside is it makes you very like predictable, and that your opponent can go for the catch there to kind of make it a little bit easier for them. So realistically, if you throw right away or over farm, it doesn't make a difference. Just you can just be safe if you do over farm and go for the foul play first and then the superpower second. Just kind of a different way to think about that matchup there. And now with that stored energy we have on the Malamar, we get to land that superpower on the Diggersby to take him out. And with the shield advantage, A slash into their Tinkaton, nothing my opponent can do, so they do concede. GG's. Next battle, Shadow Malamar into regular Malamar yet again. We know how we like to play it out at this point. So same thing, I do throw this foul play right away. Like I said, doesn't matter. Throw it right away over farm. It's up to you. And as you see, this one does hang on again. Takes like 2 more side waves to get them back into the yellow. So I will have to go for a superpower for my second move here to take them out. I go for the superpower right away. My opponent looks like the overfarm there instead of playing the CMP tie, and they let the move go anyway, so that's very nice. So kind of the same situation here, except when they came in Tinkaton and I stored that move and then swapped it to Gator, that was a good decision that I like to think of doing there, because both Gator and regular Gator and A Slash are good answer to Tinkaton, but here we have a Jumpluff, and A Slash is really our only good answer to that over the Gator. Gator's an okay answer even on energy, but with them being up the fairy ones like they were, I just decided to stay in, get off that foul play and sideways with a chip, and then meet it with the A Slash to kind of force them to have their jump aligned to our A Slash there. Now, being that low of health and shielding a Jumpluff against an A Slash, I'm like, what could they possibly have in back? And I'm like, if they have something in back that's weak to the A Slash like that, then surely Gator with its Hydro Cannon and then ice coverage that the A Slash has would be able to do just as well up a shield. And that it does, because my opponent doesn't even go, only gets an aerial ace on that jump. I still reach an ice punch to force the final shield from my opponent. And now I can just comfortably go for double hydro cannons here against the Credilli. Reason why I go for double hydro cannons is because I could reach 2 hydro cannons before their second rock tomb debuff, where I could only reach a single ice beam, and a single ice beam from there won't KO, knowing that I would need 2 moves anyways. So that's kind of why I went for the double hydro instead of the ice beam in that situation against Credilli. When it comes to Credilli, we have the move, but doesn't matter. We can just farm them down as we do take that one. GG's. All right, getting to the next battle. Malamar into yet another Shadow Kanto Marowak. So we know how to play this out. We want to make sure we throw our first move before they get to the back-to-back bone clubs. That way we can force or guarantee we get off both of our moves without allowing a sneak or allowing them to get off both of their moves first. I do go for the superpower this time. It's a little bit of a bait game, whether you want to go for that foul play first, the superpower, because if your opponent calls that foul play, like I said, they will be able to get off both of their moves, and that'll force you to throw 2 of your own. And if you go for that superpower on your own first, and they end up letting that superpower go, you will actually, that superpower will actually KO them before they reach their second bone club, the superpower plus the sideways. So it's really basically a call that you want to make at that point. As you'll see here, you saw 2 situations where I went for the foul play first and then a superpower in another situation, and I got my first move shielded in both of those times. So really, it's up to you what you want to do. Here I do land partying Hydro Cannon, bringing the Malamar deep into the red, which is, or their Lapras deep into the red, which is very, very nice. And I'm perfectly fine with that in terms of coming in with my A Slash here and just getting a nice powder snow down if possible. They come in their Kanto Marowak. I swap to try and catch the Bone Club onto my Malamar. I don't fall for it, but I do get fortunate enough that they end up throwing their energy anyways, being possibly scared of me reaching another move or of a farm down. And that's very, very nice considering they have a Drapion in the back where I can fire off this Joe Run, land it. I will tank a crunch in return, but I'm not in crunch range. I will be able to get the powder snow down, which we do, and we leave with a move stored for that Lapras. So Ice Punch does come through, and that will be enough. Even though it's double resisted right there, that will be enough to take out the very low health Lapras. GG's. Next battle, Shadow Malamar into Shadow Drapion. Very, very interesting lead here. It's kind of like the same situation as the Shadow Kanto Marowak. It's up to you whether you want to go for the foul play or superpower. However, I do recommend you let them throw first and you shield the first move, because if you shield a crunch, they go for the crunch the first time and you shield a crunch, that means that forces them to go for another crunch afterwards, of which you will outpace, or you will get to your second move on the CMP tied to their second crunch, which forces them to throw that. And that's kind of like what I said. I recommend you shield that first move, because you let that crunch go. Now they can go for an Aqua Tail after that, and they will outpace to 2 moves before you reach to 2 moves. So you shield that crunch, you load up, you fire off your first move right before they get to that second crunch of their own, if they did go for the crunch the first time, and you go for the foul play bait. Perfect. You can land that superpower and deal heavy damage or force both shields, or you go for that superpower expecting them to no shield the first, and then they let it go. Awesome. You could then go for the foul play to finish them off after that. Regardless, if your opponent plays that CMP tie and you win that CMP tie with your Shadow Malamar, so I recommend a little bit more of attack on your Shadow Malamar just for that CMP tie over the Shadow Drapion. And your opponent plays to that, awesome, your Shadow Malamar did its job, you can let it go, and you can bring in your Gator to get a nice Shadow Claw down. Or if they end up going down both shields, you can bring in your Gator to then play to the CMP tie of the Hydro Cannon, of which you win over their Drapion. Now, if they don't play to the CMP time, they overfarm, that's even better in my opinion, because even though they sneak a full Poison Sting, you get to preserve your very healthy Shadow Malamar and then swap into your Gator. That way you have, like I said, a very healthy Shadow Malamar for later in the game. Your opponent shields down, and now your Gator can kind of just put in work like it always does as well. GG's to my opponent that last game. Shadow Malamar into Shadow Malamar. This one you can just go double foul play in. The foul plays do a ton of damage. Regardless, as you'll see there, definitely does over half. So you can just let it go and then go for the double foul play to take out your opponent. Looks like I do win CMP against this opposing Malamar, which is nice. Very nice, because it makes my opponent go down a shield, or it gives me switch advantage and I leave with a pretty healthy Malamar, as you saw there. But if your opponent plays the CMP tie, you win it, they shield it, you let it go. That's the plan, because you can just come in with your Gator, shield once, and then Shadow Claw your opposing Malamar all the way down. And if they swap out, it doesn't matter. You have your A Slash on Powder Snow. Doesn't matter if it's on Shadow Claw or Powder Snow in terms of like the damage percentages there against the Malamar. But for this team, you want Powder Snow with A Slash, because your opponent will never reach a second move. Whether they swap out and save that to deal with the Powder Snows later, it doesn't matter. Your opponent will never reach a second move against the A Slash or against the Gator. Now, I'm looking at this like I'm feeling good. I have 2 whole Ice Punches stored, loving life here against it. They come in with a Shadow Typhlosion. I'm like, well, shoot. Fortunately, we do survive those Psy Waves and get the Powder Snow down, and we leave with the second draw run on 1 HP, so my opponent does concede. GG's. Next battle, Lapras. Fantastic lead for us here. See what my opponent wants to do. You always want to let them first throw first. Does decent damage, but you're never in danger getting Psy Wave down. Now you want to overfarm, and then you want to throw the superpower like on the CMP tie to the next move. That way you can maximize it. And unless they have an extremely high ranked Lapras, throwing that superpower on the CMP tie to their second Sparkling Aria will KO their Lapras. Now you'll see here my opponent makes a swap trying to catch on their Gastrodon, and I overfarm a little bit too much with the Malamar. Fire off the foul play, then pivot to my Gator. If I gave 1 Mud Slap less to the Gastro, I would have been able to land that foul play and then swap it to my Gator, then outpace to a Hydro before they reach an Earth Power. So that would have been a little bit more of an optimal way to play that. But either way, we're still in a decent spot here, as I can come in with my Malamar with all the energy stored up later, deny that energy on the Lapras, or force them to wait, give up a shield, and then waste it on my extremely low health Malamar. Now we trust in A Slash up a shield to close the game. They try and catch a drill run. That catch is unsuccessful, and oh boy, this Jumpluff's gonna be in a world of hurt. First Ice Punch does land, and that's all that I really need to do. Just let the first Ice Punch land, let their move go. Since my A Slash is never gonna get Psy Wave down, just save it for the Sparkling Arias from the Lapras. We leave with basically 100 energy, and at that point, my opponent does realize the match is over. GG's. Yeah, this team's good, but Shadow Malamar, that thing's the real MVP. If you have one with frustration teamed off from the recent Rocket event, I highly recommend building it so you can see for yourself just how much work it really does put in. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Love to hear what you have to say. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.